Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out to just go through my whole entire gaming library. Could be a game, could be a console, or it could be a limited edition. But today, ladies and gents, we're going to be talking about none other than ARMS, made by Nintendo. Look, this is like the brand new, hottest IP that they managed to put out in the market back in 2017. Like, they're coming right off the heels of Splatoon that released on the Wii U. Brand new IP, has taken off since then. That has caught fire, so Nintendo's like, hey, maybe we can catch a little fire as well with another brand new IP, and one that will be kind of a similar competitive avenue, such as the Super Smash Brothers and a Splatoon. And their answer to that was ARMS, made by Mr. Yabuki himself, though. And there's a lot of things about this game that I really do love and adore, especially with its capability and stuff, being able to use the Joy-Cons and stuff. Like, that's like the whole premises of you punching out those arms and stuff, though. So there's a lot of things I love about this game, but then there's some other things where it's like, well, was it missing a little bit of content, a little bit of extra flair, a little extra oomph that would have actually took the game a little bit further on and probably would have had a little bit more support versus what they managed to give to us, and everything else in between, though. So in today's video, I'm just going to talk about all the highs, some of the little bit of lows, things that I liked, some things that I didn't like, and everything else in between, though. So y'all might as well go ahead and saddle up and buckle up, because this one's going to be a good one, y'all. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. And if you're curious or want to support the channel just a little bit more, then feel free to hit that join link down below. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Good old ARMS. Now, I remember it was way back in that January presentation in 2017, where I believe that was like the first time we managed to get news of this game actually dropping out for this brand new system. And I was like, wait, what the heck is this game? I was like, oh, they're trying to itch that little competitive itch. Now, don't get me wrong, I love myself some competitive games. I do a lot of duking it out in Splatoon, man. Super Smash Brothers, man, play me at that game any day of the week, and I'll find a way to hand out L's to you in some kind of form or fashion, though. But with ARMS, I was like, okay, this is kind of unique. Like, the whole premise of it was you holding two different Joy-Cons, punching left to control your left arm, punching right to control your right arm and stuff. You can throw both of them out at the same time. That could be considered as a grab, though. And then you can also curve your shot. So it's not even just a straightforward jab that you can do in a little bit of boxing or whatever, though, but you can actually tilt the Joy-Con either inward or you can twist it outward, and that will actually curve or angle some of your shots in a different way, though, because, you know, you're holding the Joy-Con stuff, you're moving a little bit left, you're moving a little bit right, backwards, forward. You have little jumping abilities, though, and then obviously you can cross them together and you'll be able to guard. That's the basic premise of this whole entire game. You have a big old health bar and you're just trying to whittle them down and either knock them out or be the one that has the more HP at the end of the match, though. And that's the basic premise of this thing, though. Something that seems very simplistic on the surface level, but once you start including the mechanics, the way how certain characters play, all of the different stages that you can be battling and versing out on, that's where the layers of difficulty and a little bit of complexity starts to manage to kick up in here, though. And this was like one of those games like a Smash Bros. Or Splatoon where it's like we had X amount of content on day one, and they slowly managed to put in new characters, new stages, a few different modes and stuff like that, and everything else in between throughout the was it like almost a year or two? I think more along the lines of like a couple of years of support that this game managed to get, though. But at launch, we managed to start off the game with 11 different characters, and it is as follows. We had Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, Master Money, Min Min, Mechanica, Twintail, Bite and Bark, Kid Cobra, Helix, and Max Brass. Now, technically, Max Brass, you couldn't play as a playable character until like a little minor update a little later on, though, but you played against them in the story mode. And let's just go ahead and just break down all the characters, the ones that were there at launch, and then the ones that managed to get added on a little bit later on. So first off the bat, you had Springman. He's basically like your equivalent of a basic old Mario in this fighting game, though. Like he does everything pretty standard, has pretty good speed, movability, and everything else, though. So it's like, hey, if you're just trying to learn the game, that's definitely a go-to character, though. But I feel like the more time that you invested in that character, he's like a easy to play but kind of like hard to match master kind of character, because it's not like anything super special to him to a level of degree though, but he's a really great all-around character. Then you'll go ahead and look over at a girl with Ribbon Girl, and she was kind of cool because she had like a triple jump in the air, so you can kind of catch people off guard depending on your point of landing though, because you did have to be pretty careful in this game where you're jumping, because people could abuse you with either grabs or go ahead and set up like a good solid punch on you from the moment that you manage to land. And then Jara, on the other hand though, oh shoot, that was my boy right there. Like, he was literally one of my few mains up in this game though. Like, literally his whole thing is if you guard and you punch him, he vanish and sidestep, or you can jump up in the air and move forward or left or right or back or whatever though, and he'll do a little vanishing thing and then reappear. I love the way how that man played. Definitely a go-to for me. Then you had Master Money, who was able like to guard, and he was like a heavy hitter and stuff. Like, it was harder to kind of do knockback damage to him, and if he guard for X amount of time, he actually will slowly get HP back, so you had to kind of watch when you're playing against that dude. Then you had characters such as Min Min, which Min Min was cool because once you charged up her shot, she did manage to have like one of her arms perma charge. Until you're able to hit her, that one arm will be perma charged, and it will constantly be able to do that added additional buff depending on the arm that you had equipped though. And Min Min was also kind of cool because she was the only character out of this whole entire roster that actually managed to make the jump to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate though, so really cool right there. And it was also one of my other main in this game. Then you had a girl called Mechanica, which, I mean, she was in a mech suit to take some hits though. I don't think there was really anything super special with her. Then you had over here Twin Tail, who literally could slow down time when dodging certain punches, so that was nice. You had Bite and Bark, who literally was like, you're playing as you're playing as one of the characters that plays pretty normally as most characters though, but then you had this dog over here, Bark, and he literally will just randomly throw out punches here and there though, or you could jump on top of Bark and then use that to combo or get some airtime up on an enemy and stuff. So that was a kind of a nice, interesting duo. Then you had over here Kid Cobra. Kid Cobra is like one of the smoothest punks up in this game. Literally, like, this dude, once he had his ability and stuff charged, he can do 3 major bursts, I would guess, mini bursts if you want to call them that. So he can go M1, left one, M1. He can move real fast up on you, and he will catch you off guard, come in there with that grab and slam you down like a basketball. I'm just saying though. And then you had Helix over here, which Helix was kind of weird, like a little gloobery glob or whatever you want to call this dude though. The weird thing is with him is when you are guarding, if you slightly lean left, your feet would stay in place, but your whole body would shift over to the left, right, forward, or backward. So he was kind of a very slippery character for you to be able to land punches up on. And then obviously, lastly, you had Max Brass, which Max Brass, once you had him permacharged and stuff, like the dude, he wouldn't flinch. Like if you hit him, he would not flinch. A lot of characters in this game will flinch whenever you hit him a certain kind of way though. Nah, man, he gets charged up and he gets raring to go, and he could take some hits and certainly dish them right back out. That was the whole entire roster on day one. But then over the course of several different updates throughout this game's life, we did manage to get 4 more additional characters. We got Lolopop, who was able to kind of like jump around, move around left and right. He was kind of a slippery character as well as a super bouncy. You have Misongo, who honestly, I was like, this is the dude I really didn't resonate with that much at all. Like he had like 2 different abilities with like a little red, blue, yin and yang thing that was kind of going on both of his arms though. Like the red one allowed him to be like a little more aggressive, I think, with the mask and stuff that he was wearing. Or the blue one was a little bit more slippery, a little bit more evasive and stuff. And then you had Springtron, which literally was like a mirror to Springman. The only cool thing I think with him is once he had his stuff charged up, if you were in the process of throwing out a punch and he managed to charge up his ability right then and there, it did manage to stun you and actually like deactivate your arm, which literally ensured that, hey, you as Springtron over there got a free hit on your enemy or a free grab or something like that. And then lastly, in the last major update, you had Dr. Coil, who Dr. Coil, oh man, she's slippery. She's slippery, man, oh man, because literally this woman over here technically has 3 arms. You see 2 of them all the time, but every now and then you'll see like a phase 3rd one that will come in and strike every good now and then. She can consistently float and glide around and stuff like that. So she had a lot of things going for her. And I think in terms of the competitive scene, like a lot of people rock that character. And that's it, like the whole roster. 15 different playable characters, and pretty much for every playable character you had up in this game, they had their own specific stage design with them as well though. So honestly, that was some really good stuff just on the surface level though. But then you got to think about some of the mechanics in the game. And that's the whole premise of the arms, because it's not just simple punches that you're throwing in. No, you had different arm abilities that you were able to equip. And for most characters, they had 3 different arms that were designed specifically for each one of these characters in mind. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to stick with the arms that were equipped with it, though, because the more and more you play this game, you get currency and stuff, and you're able to actually unlock other arms for certain characters, and then you can kind of mix and match other people's arms with a certain particular character that you might really love and adore. So with the combination of those things, then you start mixing all these things together, and before you know it, now you got yourself a game. Like, this is highly competitive. There's different ways how you're going to treat or approach certain enemies and stuff in terms of the way how you use your character versus how they use it. And it starts to become a little bit of a chess match that you typically would have with any common fighting game, just in general, though. And I think that's what makes ARMS truly unique, is the fact that just the flavor that Nintendo managed to put up in it. It's something that you just don't typically see in your standard average fighting game. And while yes, you can do this stuff with Joy-Cons and stuff, which is kind of my go-to way, although my arms do get a little bit tired after playing so long with my friends and stuff, though, you also could play this with a Pro Controller, though. However, I guess curving the shots, I think, kind of work with the direction that you're actually moving on that stick with the Pro Controller or whatever, though. So yeah, my preference was always to use motion, but there is a stick option for those out there that want it as well, though. So overall, I think ARMS was a very charming game, but notice how I said there was some things that were a little bit disappointing at the very beginning of the video, and guess what I'm referring to is just the life expectancy of this game. Because while yes, it did manage to get some updates, unfortunately, man, the competitive scene on this, it was there. They were pushing it really hard at the very start. Like, you literally had competitions that Nintendo was promoting via like Nintendo Versus, and literally you had ARMS and Splatoon almost sitting right beside each other at one point, though. And then also along with Super Smash Bros. When it finally managed to break out on the scene, though. But slowly but surely, it did manage to get dropped. I mean, yes, it did well in terms of sales. Like, it did manage to sell like in the millions. I can't remember exactly what was the last number up on that thing, though, but couldn't sell at least no more than, I think, maybe 3 million, though. But that, at least sell 1 million for a brand new IP is something special in it of itself, though. But I just felt like in terms of this modes that we had, like, it was just mostly either you doing rank matches, you can do the campaign, which you're only gonna get so much out of it just going through it like a couple of times or whatever, though, or you can just do just a free versus match or whatever. And I think for most people, they do rank, though, but now that don't think the player base is super big up on it now, like actively, whereas like if you do rank up challenges, it might take you a little bit of time to actually kind of get in the match with somebody, though. But I mean, I think it's just the modes that are up in there, because outside of those 3, the only other things that you had that could diversify the combat just a little bit, obviously you had like the little mini game that you can do to get arms, but there was also a volleyball mode and a basketball mode that you can use in these like little party group sessions that you can have with friends or other randos online. And outside of that, there wasn't really too much more that you can do. And in comparison to a game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where you have like home run derby contest, multi-man fight, the single player campaign, the special story mode like the World of Light and stuff, like there was mode after mode after mode, the 3v3, the 5v5 and stuff. Like, there's a lot of things that's in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that will keep people coming back, let alone just playing online, which a lot of people get a lot of enjoyment out of that, versus a game like ARMS where the modes were very limited. Like, literally we're talking about a handful of stuff. And I think that's just one of the major drags with ARM, because I think the surface level gameplay was all there. It's just, it kind of felt a little bit repetitive before too long, though. And I think probably the biggest thing that this game had an advantage of is just it coming out in 2017, where this wasn't a lot of games, at least at first, when the Switch was first dropping out. Because I remember playing this game, and it was like, what was it? It's like the second or the third game I might have ever had on my Nintendo Switch. And I remember playing that sucker dock. I remember, popping out the kickstand and stuff, playing it in tabletop mode with the Joy-Cons going at it, though. Like, it's a really fun game, don't get me wrong, but it kind of gets a little old a little too quick. That's all I'm going to say on it, because I think I was actively playing it for about 2 years throughout the whole list of updates, and then I was kind of done by that last major update when they brought in Dr. Coyle into the scene, though. But overall, the game is fun. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like more could have been thrown up in this game to kind of make it stand out and have a little bit longer longevity for this amazing yet quirky but brand new IP from Nintendo though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below what all do you think about ARMS. Was it a game that you managed to pick up, you really love, or do you actually still actively play this game? Like, is there really much of a competitive scene for it though? Or people still going out and doing competitions for this game? I don't know, but it certainly ain't like a Splatoon or Super Smash Bros. That still get supported or at least have community events to this day though. But that's all I'm gonna say about the wonderful game of ARMS. But if you really like this video, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. And if you're curious and want to support the channel just a little bit more, then feel free to hit that join link down below. But that's truly gonna do it for today though. So remember y'all, until our video I make next, see y'all.